The minutes are approved. Our second item is one of our favorite topics in the last month, the American Rescue Plan stimulus funding. And we're very pleased and honored to have Town Manager Rob Zarnetsky with us tonight to give us an update and an overview of the process of the stimulus money. So Rob, thank you for coming tonight. I know you had a late night last night. We'll be much quicker than it was last night. But I wonder if you could start by just giving us an overview of what the town expects and the process that you envision going forward.
Yeah, so very high level overview. The recovery plan money is allocated in two different ways to maybe three different ways to municipalities. The first is direct allocation to those communities that are entitlement communities under the CDBG program. South Kingstown is not. We are subrecipients. The state receives those CDBG monies for communities outside of the Providence area. So we will be receiving about $3 million through the CDBG allotment that goes to the state. 3 million of those are earmarked for us. The other way that we're going to receive money through the Recovery Act is a really brilliant.
Rob?
Yes?
You're breaking up a little.
Okay, I'm going to shut my camera off so that I'm not using that bandwidth. The second way that we're going to receive money is through an allocation that was sort of spearheaded by the New England delegation. As you know, New England does not have counties. And because we don't have county governments, we've historically suffered in the competition with other parts of the country that do have county government. They have historically, when these sort of packages and under the CDBG program as well, the Community Development Block Grant Program, which is a 1970s era grant program that's been around and been modified for years, but does make monies available to towns, to cities, and to counties. Because we don't have counties, we've never received those funds. Jack Reed and the New England delegation was successful in this legislation in getting language put into the bill that says if you don't have an operating county government, then those monies go directly to the municipalities in the county as if they were the county government for that portion of the population that resides within the county. So for us, we're the largest population center in Washington County, and we will be receiving another approximately $5 million through that portion of the recovery plan. In total, we're going to receive about $9 million. We will receive those $9 million over 2 years. We'll have 3 years to spend that money. Treasury just put out the guidance on what is eligible and what is not eligible. We're still digesting that. Everybody in the country is digesting that. But it looks like we're going to be able to spend those funds pretty broadly. And it looks like we're going to be able to engage in some pretty neat projects over the course of the next couple, 3 years. So that's the high level overview. There is one other thing to keep in mind, and that is the state also received a large tranche of funding, and that money may be suballocated, may be divvied up to municipalities. They're also looking, I think, it's highly likely, by the way, that some of that will find its way, some of that state funding will find its way to the library network across the state, because the state perceives of the library network more as a state network than it does a municipal network in many ways. So I'd expect to see some of that state funding come to the library network as well. But we may also see some additional funds for the municipality through that channel or that pathway as well. So that's sort of the high level overview of what the recovery plan looks like for us. We don't have all of the information on how the state is going to handle distribution of those funds. The county money in theory is supposed to come directly to the municipalities, but the feds don't know how to do that because they are used to dealing with the county governments when they're dealing with county funds. Chances are good that the state will get its hands on and be an intermediary, both on the municipally programmed funding, and they will also, in all likelihood, have their hands on and be an intermediary for the county funding. And finally, we do expect to see some of the state allocation sort of trickle down as well, because they received a large sum of money for the state. That, by the way, is all independent and separate from the infrastructure stimulus package, which is currently being considered in Congress. So, we're looking at a lot of additional funding potentially coming in for roads and for transportation, transit networks and that sort of thing, bridges, waterway improvements. There's a lot of federal funding that's likely to find its way to Rhode Island and to South Kingstown over the next couple of years that we still don't even know about. Wow, huh? Look at that.
Wow, it's right.
Yeah. No,
What is
it's,
the, on a
it's
percentage
another sort
basis,
of great society or public works orientation. It is supply side economics at its greatest.
what is the percentage? I mean, what is our budget and how much of this on a percentage basis is compared to the entire budget?
It's not huge. The municipal budget, including the school program, and I didn't speak about the schools stand to bring in another significant sum. It looks like somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million coming to the schools over the next couple of years. But if you take the municipal budget, including the schools and the utilities, we're just about $100 million. So that's sort of a good way to think about our budget. We're about $100 million budget,
Okay.
annual budget.
Well, thank you, Rob. And I have shared with the board some of the measures that we've already taken, meeting with department heads and coming up with lists, and the board has had their own work session, and those ideas are all on the table. I don't know if there's some other specific questions. I know that is some of the money coming in June, or like, is there a deadline?
We're expecting,
We have
we're
another
expecting
meeting.
a payment in June.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're expecting, based on preliminary information coming out of Washington, that'll be $4.5 million.
So do you foresee that when we have that list of projects together, like, how is that going to be decided? I think is one of the questions that we had.
Yep. So we're getting together, the town staff will get together on Friday this week to come up with our prioritized recommendation to the town council. The town council ultimately will decide how to spend the $4.5 million and then the other 4.5 that will be coming next year. It's really up to the town council to decide how to spend those funds. But we will be putting together a prioritized recommendation, and hopefully that will guide their decision making. It doesn't have to guide their decision making. They can choose to ignore our recommendations in their entirety. They may choose to, and in fact, what's most likely in my experience is they will take our recommendations and then they'll have priorities that we hadn't even thought of all their own, and they'll want us to sort of take away from our priority list and move the things that they have in mind up to the top of that list.
Laurel, I had a question. At our last meeting, you mentioned that there was $2.2 million coming to OLIS, the Office of Library and Information Services. Rob mentioned that there was potentially money coming from the state to South Kingstown. Do you know if that 2.2 million that OLS will have is part of that state money, or is that
No, there's gonna be
designated separate?
more. That's separate. So they're going to be rolling out, they've already started to grant opportunities, competitive grant opportunities, very short turnaround times that focus on digital access, enhancing connectivity, that type of thing. And I will, as soon as, I think I shared with you the high level outline of it, but as soon as they send me something that says, you know, this is what is really eligible, I'll share that with you. So one of the things that we had talked about for a library project was like a laptop kiosk dispensing kind of thing for here are the branches. I think that's more of an OLIS thing. I don't think that's necessarily a town thing. The bookmobile, the book vending machine, I think that could be a town thing, which is, Rob, I'm wondering, of the projects that I pitched so far, is there anything that's sticking out to you, or did you have ideas that you think might fit for the library?
So I will say, I don't know until we have this conversation and prioritize the list as a town professional staff. It's hard for me to say, I think this one's going to come to the top. I do think that the bookmobile idea is meritorious. I think that it has virtues that are going to be pretty apparent to any politically minded person. I mean, it's highly visible, it's highly impactful, it's highly beneficial to vulnerable populations. I mean, I think the bookmobile idea is a good one. And, you know, if I had to guess, I'd say it's going to fare well in any competition. But, you know, until I hear from John Schock and know, you know, that there's a public works project that's going to save, you know, potentially 5,000 lives down on the shore, that's you know, until we know what the list looks like, it's going to be hard to decide. So I think that the bookmobile is a winner. I think that the vending machines concept is a good one. I'm personally, I mean, you know, my opinion on this doesn't matter. I'm just sharing with you my thoughts because I'm not going to be the decider. I will be part of the conversation as the staff sets the priorities for the recommendation. And I will try to sort of carry that case, the prioritized team settled case to the council when the council makes these decisions. But I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be the guy deciding where the monies go. The vending machine idea, the book machine, the idea that you could have a vending machine that allows people access to library books in otherwise inconvenient places like the hospital, or, and this is the piece that I get more excited about, or at inconvenient times. You know, I think that a vending machine outside of the library or built into the wall of the library sounds really appealing to me, but I don't know how that one's going to fare. I think that one is going to be harder to convince folks is necessary. You know, I think what you're going to hear on that one is it's a great idea. Why doesn't the library do some fundraising, or why doesn't the hospital do some fundraising and do that? That's what I think you're going to hear.
Okay.
Rob, just one other question. Do you think the town is going to come up with any sort of metrics for evaluating ideas? Is that too systematic to expect that the town will do that?
Well, we've had sort of a broad heuristic that we've been working with, and that, you know, looks like this. The purpose of the program is to spend money locally. The worst case is getting money, going on to, it's not even Amazon, going on to, what is the Chinese version of Amazon there, the new one?
Alibaba?
Alibaba. It's getting the money, going on to Alibaba and sending it to a factory in China. That is the worst possible way to spend this money. The antithesis of that is getting the money and spending it, or spending it in a way so that it sticks around for at least 3 or 4 transactions. We hire a local contractor who hires 5 subcontractors who all live locally, and they spend the money on materials from the local lumber yard. That's what we're trying to do, is to maximize the expenditure of the funds here in town and to maximize the ripple effect from the expenditure of funds here in town. So projects that are labor oriented are in that heuristic or in that paradigm preferable to purchases of equipment that are manufactured outside of South Kingstown. Aside from that, it should have broad community impact. It shouldn't be something that has a very small niche constituency. If 10 people are going to benefit, that's great. But if 10,000 are going to benefit, that's better. So, being able to demonstrate a broad community benefit is also an element that we've focused on. And I've also tried to get folks to not just use these funds to accelerate their capital programs. If they've been planning for a capital project 5, 6, 7 years down the road, keep planning, don't use these monies. This money is not here to just sort of supplant things that you're programming already. This really is supposed to be innovative, wow project money. This is supposed to have an immediate impact, and it's supposed to be something that, because it's such a shot in the arm, because it's such an unusual event, it's the kind of thing you want to spend in a way that 20 years from now, you can say, oh, look at that. That was bought with recovery or rescue plan monies. That whole thing is because of the rescue plan. That's what we're trying to do here.
You'll see those medallions on the sidewalks in town, the WPA medallions.
Exactly.
Always completely blown away whenever I see them.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the sidewalks. I have a question. So in a way, the library has 2 decision makers. There's the Ocean State Library, the state, and we have the town council, right? That we're submitting ideas to, or am I misunderstanding?
No, well, sort of, like the town is submitting ideas and it's the town council's decision. With Ocean State Library, not Ocean State Libraries, OLIS, it is like a big grant process. You're filling out a grant, you're dotting I's and T's, and then you're competing against all the other libraries in Rhode Island.
But that's you, and I say you, Laurel, because I know you're going to end up doing the work. I will help you, but it's you directly to OLIS, correct?
And it's
Okay.
OLIS that makes that decision.
Okay.
Speaking
Rob,
of the signage, now, Rob, I know that the beautification is probably going to make it on that list. So is there a way that we can be a part of that? I know one department has to own it, but how do we get in on that? Because we were talking about signage and other ways that we could, beautify our different locations.
The project that Laurel's alluding to is a streetscaping project that has been proposed by the planning department. The idea is to go in with some grant money for improvement of facades, maybe some improvement to signage. We've long wanted, or I've long wanted since I've gotten here, I've wanted a sign ordinance and a sign grant program that would bring people the money they need to come into compliance with an aesthetically oriented sign ordinance. You drive down, in my view, you drive down Old Tower Hill Road and you look at the hodgepodge of signs and it's not attractive, and we can do better. So if we had the money, I always said we should put up a grant and let businesses come to us and get money for new signs that meet the aesthetic standard of the community. So that's the beautification program, is basically facade improvement, particularly in Peacedale. You've got some beautiful old buildings that just need some love and appreciation. And if there's money for that, we can give business owners or building owners the money to go ahead and paint or to improve, replace in some cases some of the architectural elements that have been lost over the years. And then signage and getting a nice aesthetic standard brought in across neighborhoods like Wakefield, Old Tower Hill Road, and Peacedale. So yes, I don't see any reason why the library couldn't be part of a sign program. One of the nice things about a sign program is there are local sign makers. We can build a standard that takes advantage of the fact that there are folks in Rhode Island and folks even in South Kingstown capable and who are in the business of producing signs. So I don't see any reason why the library couldn't do that. The standard does not yet exist. I've spoken to Jamie. We're sort of working on the idea that the sign standard is going to be built around the materials, and the materials are going to be actually the materials of the Peacedale Library, large timber and stone. That's the core element of a beautiful sign, is large timber and stone. And there's variations on that. In Peacedale, it's truly large timber and stone in sort of an 19th century industrial form. In Kingston, it's more colonial stone and timber. And in Wakefield, it's mercantile stone and timber. But it's that stone and timber element that makes the signs sort of have a local feel, we think. So we're working on that still, but yeah, I mean, you guys actually have a sign that I would say sort of fits the criteria now, sort of is the right kind of sign. It's not a plastic 1950s.
Right. We were thinking more of a way to, like with the Weaver or the fountain, or even just the historic nature of the building, to have, those types of placards that would give people more of a history.
Yeah, okay. So you're thinking sort of a walking tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Program. Yeah, it's interesting. It's worth pitching.
Okay. But it wouldn't necessarily be encompassed into the
You can,
planning.
I mean, nothing in the world or nothing in the universe exists in complete isolation from anything else. So, I don't know, maybe.
And then I guess my next question, and I don't want to keep you too much longer, is, so when you talk about locally, would we be better off trying to how I longed to look at reclaiming space here at Peacedale? Would we be better off going that route than something?
So remember, the sort of the measures that I've suggested are, one, it has the maximum impact on the local economy, and the other has a maximum impact on the largest number of people. So the bookmobile, you're not going to build the vehicle here. That's clear. It's going to come out of Detroit or out of Tennessee or wherever the heck it's being built. But it's going to have a huge impact on people. So, in the perfect world, it'd be built in a local factory and would have, a circulation count at the end of the first year of 30,000 people. That's not going to happen, but it's a pretty good project because it's going to have a large impact to a significant number of people, despite the fact that it's money that's going to be spent in Detroit.
That's an interesting point, though. I mean, we could try and buy something van-like and have it redone in an auto guy here locally to our needs, right?
Well, I looked at a couple of different ways to go about it, and that is one way, where you buy your own Sprinter vehicle, van, whatever. Electric is not as much as an option as I thought it was, but and then you have it customized. That's one scenario of getting the project done. You can buy them flat out done already. But yeah, nothing that's gonna be, down the road, unfortunately.
Now, with what Rob just said, that fits
Rob,
much
how,
better. Doing a custom thing locally, that's all.
right, right. Rob, how and when does the library and the library board get a seat at the table to pitch our ideas and explain what our priorities are?
So the prioritized list from the staff will be the subject of this is an interesting, it's an interesting question, actually, and it's one that I've not puzzled through before this very moment. So the town charter requires that the town's budget be the subject of a hearing. Has to be, there has to be a public hearing before the town council decides on its spending plan for the year. This is monies outside of that established charter identified process, or it isn't. And that's an interesting question. Is this just supplemental to the established budgetary spending project or the spending process, or is it completely separate? If it's completely separate, then the council would have the authority to just say, we're going to spend it this way and we don't really care what anybody thinks until we succeed or fail, and then you can vote us out of office or vote us back in. If it's a supplemental component of the spending budget plan, then it really does need to be the subject of a public hearing. And the recommendations from the staff are akin to the manager's proposed budget and nothing more. So I guess the answer to your question is this, and I will have to talk to the town solicitor, but I'm inclined to say it is a component of the budget myself anyway. But I need to make sure that I'm not usurping an authority that the council has to do this in a streamlined way, I suppose. But if it can be done in the streamlined way without a public hearing, then your opportunity is to be part of the recommendation, the proposal, and then to come to the meeting at which the council is making the decision and make your case, make a presentation and make the case. That's an informal thing. It's public comment as opposed to a public hearing where you have a legal right to present a case. And the other way, if it is a public hearing, the other way would be you've got the opportunity to feed us stuff for the priority list that's being developed this Friday. And you will also have a legal right, if there's a hearing, to come in and make a pitch at the public hearing. And there, because it's a formal public hearing, to make a more formal, not just we support this or we want that, not 3 minutes, but rather as long as it takes to make the case, kind of presentation. Sorry, I sometimes am accused of thinking out loud and confusing people when I do it, but.
No, I think it's makes sense to me. I'm working on that priority list for Friday. So, I welcome any sound bites or anything I can incorporate in that. Just email me and we'll get them in there, and then hopefully we'll have an opportunity to pitch. So, is there any other questions for Rob or any other thoughts on this?
So this is Lindsay Madame. Will every person or group be pitching on Friday?
We're gonna sit down as a group and talk about the priorities. I think Rob wants to get as much input from everybody as they can. So, and we're gonna look at, my understanding, and Rob, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're all gonna kind of look at everybody's priorities and not just our own and see what we think is, you know, the kind of 1, 2, 3 kind of basis.
Got it. Everybody's going to come to the table with their ideas and then create a priority list out of that? Or is that something, I'm
That's
sorry.
correct.
Yeah.
I've been
That's
paying
correct.
attention there.
And we've
That's
already,
correct. So on Friday, it'll be town staff. It'll just be the town department heads, and the fire chiefs have been invited to participate as well,
Yep.
because there is no allocation directly to fire departments, and our relationship with the fire department is peculiar, but they will be invited as well. So it'll be town staff. We're gonna hash it out. Everybody's been putting their projects on a spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet, essentially, a smart sheet actually, but they've been putting it on a shared spreadsheet, and we will go through the spreadsheet and have everybody who owns one of those items say, this is why I think it's the most important thing since sliced bread. And everybody on the senior staff, the department heads, will get a vote. And we will come up with a prioritized list through that process.
Okay.
and I will say too, we have sat down 2 times before this. I mean, this isn't like the first time we've all started talking about this, and I, you know, brought it to you guys, and I thought it would be great to have Rob to just come and, you know, elaborate a little more than I can.
And then that list will go to the town council, and it will be the subject of, and the more I'm thinking about it, it will be the introduction, the proposed spend plan. The council will in all likelihood take public comment at a hearing and make a decision based on that.
And I have one more question. So since you said 3 years, over 3 years, and it's all going to be
Correct.
decided in the first year? with
Not
the project?
necessarily. Not
Okay,
necessarily. I mean, look, the program is going to be oversubscribed dramatically. There's no way this list is going to end up at $9 million on the nose. It is going to end at $90 million. I mean, it's going to be grossly oversubscribed. But the council may choose to hold some of the monies back or choose not to do multi-year spending this year and just, you know, spend the $4.5 million and see what happens next year with the other $4.5 million. So I don't know. And I can't even tell you what I think my recommendation would be on that point right now. I think that there are some multi-year projects such as, you know, facade improvement and the signage grant, because they require private sector buy-in. I think multi-year spending is going to be necessary. Programs don't get up and running like that very quickly, as we saw with the Take It Outside grants that the state tried last fall.
any other questions for Rob?
I think it sounds like you're gonna need a person who just, that's their job to manage this for the next couple of years. I mean, it's really a big job.
I think you're absolutely right. Providence has already advertised that
Yeah,
job.
I'm
for
not
the
surprised.
Providence, they've got more money. And I've already suggested to people that that's probably the first expenditure, although we've already expended some of these monies. It's really the first clear programmatic expenditure we should make from these monies. Hire a grant manager.
Right, a 2 or 3 year contract, and that's, you know,
Yep, I agree.
I don't want the job.
It's on the list.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, for taking the time to explain this to us. It's exciting and daunting time. So looking forward to the library being part of it.
Very good. Look forward to seeing the projects. Have a great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Rob.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Friday.
Okay, before we move on to the next item, I'm having a lot of problem with the delays and feedback. Is anyone else, or is it just my connection? If you could
No,
raise
I
your hand
think
if
too.
you're.
I'm not, which is weird because I'm very low tech.
You're having a problem as well, Laurel?
Yeah, I've been doing okay too, and I'm in my car, so we'll figure
Yeah. Okay. It's freezing and the audio
You want
stops
to
and then
go
starts.
out and come
I-
back in, Tim?
Yeah,
that's
let
a
me
good
try that. I
idea.
did try that
Yeah.
at the beginning of the meeting. Let me try it again. I'll be right back.
You know, Laurel, I am concerned when they say Rhode Island would get whatever that number was, 9 million, I don't know, or that's South Kingstown. Is the federal government, and I've been trying to keep up with this, but I'll admit I haven't. Because we're going to have elections again in 2022, I'm just concerned, do they give the states all their bucks up front? Or is this given out over time?
I am not sure. It sounds to me, and I'm again not sure, but it does sound to me like, here you go. You
You know,
have.
they're going to give it to the state.
I
And
thought he said that the $9 million was going to come in over 2 years to be used over 3 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
I
what he
thought
said.
that's what he said. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're right.
but
You're
I
right.
would say a large portion of that would come in before the 2022 election.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
The first infuse is June. Coming
Yeah.
next month.
Right.
And some.
That's
you're
very
absolutely
soon.
right.
Yep.
Tim, did that help?
He looks frozen.
I think it made it worse.
Yeah, it didn't
Not
work.
really.
Isn't
I'm not
that
sure. What it is.
weird?
It's possible that I'm having a network issue. I have a booster for my Wi-Fi, and my grandson, who was staying with us for a while, pulled it out of the wall
Aha.
a couple of times.
You might do better.
So maybe it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
You might do better if you killed the video like Rob did.
Yeah, it helps.
Oh, maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, just so we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's move on. Correspondence, Laurel?
Well, before we move on, I just want to make sure that everybody is fine with me moving forward with the bookmobile and the book kiosk, or if there's something else that you want me to put on there. But I need to. I've already started like outlining the benefits of that and other concerns. So, but if there's something else that you wanted me to put forward, then please tell me.
The only thing I would say about that, Laurel, is, Rob made a point about spending the money locally. So if we want to do either one of those things, somehow you got to tie it into a local
Right.
business is going to get this money. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that
That was
was
a big
one
point for
prong,
me.
or to reach a large portion of the.
Right, that's the second part, right, yes.
All right.
But I'm happy with going forward with those two.
Maybe we can buy a Tesla. That's it, made in the United States at least.
All right.
An electric car, very expensive.
Donna, you have your
Donna?
hand up?
I do, yeah. I would just want to say that the bookmobile and the book kiosk sounds like a good idea to me. I'm in agreement with that.
Thank you. And really, if
I
you
would
guys
agree.
want to
And
send
I would
me
also
any.
add,
Go ahead, Tim.
no,
Uh-oh.
I would just add the signs, the information signs that we talked about for probably all three libraries, just on the history and the Weaver and so forth. And it seemed like that would fit in the beautification part.
although I didn't get the sense that he thought that Rob really thought that it would. It sounds to me like their beautification project is more big signage for businesses. And one of the problems, I think, in pushing the signage, although I think it's a great idea, according to the information that Jessica had sent out, the only company, even in Rhode Island that does it is in Central Falls. So, I think it's not going to benefit local businesses. It's really only going to benefit the people who actually go to the library, where the bookmobile is going to hopefully benefit people not only who go to the library, but particularly those people who can't get to the library. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering if maybe the signage thing should just take a step back.
Well, I would say it's not mutually exclusive. You can do both, you know, for $800, $1,000, you could buy a pretty good sign.
And as a strategy, you know, it would actually be a good thing for them to kick something out to get the stuff that we really want. Just
Maybe.
from
Yeah, I
a
was kind of wondering
emotional-
if there's any limitation on the number of things. I mean, don't want to go guns a-blazing with too many things. You want to focus your ideas
Mhm.
but I do like the idea of maybe having different ideas at different price points too,
Well,
you know?
especially from the last meeting I was there, like the items that are coming forth are big ticket items. And I would just be a little concerned if I went in there and it's like, well, you know, I think we really need to be bold and be like,
I totally agree.
give us the money for
Yeah.
this big, beautiful bus or whatever, you know, van, or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, I think if we, you know, start kind of nickel and diming, we're not gonna get taken seriously. And there's some really big projects on the table, so.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sure
I
like
think-
Parks and Recreation is gonna have some huge things they're
One
gonna
looks
put
like $1
through.
million turf field
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
thrown out there, so
Mhm.
like, you know, and that's would, you know, benefit a lot of people, so, I mean.
Well,
I
it's
think
a
Rob
deal.
he kind of set the standard when he said, you know, have it be innovative and have the wow factor. And the fact that he mentioned the bookmobile and the vending machine leads me to think, I mean, again, it's not his decision, but that's the kind of thing that, you know, and the kiosk, big ticket items.
Yeah.
So,
But have a life.
Really the
It has
top
to have a
library
life
list.
too. Yeah.
And it's at the top of the library's list. I mean, I really feel like, Laurel, you feel really strongly about it. I think we all support it. I think it's a great idea. I was just saying, like, you know, should we put the plaques in as well? I just don't know if we should have, you know, other things too. That's why.
At this point, not yet, but I think there'll be other opportunities. I do.
Okay.
I do.
So
And
is there a motion here, an approval of something? What?
it wouldn't hurt to make a motion to support moving forward with the bookmobile and vending kiosk.
What's a laptop kiosk? I'm sorry, I missed that meeting. What do you mean by that?
So laptop kiosk, and I didn't go into too much detail with that one, is it's like just what it sounds like. It's, you know, maybe the size of a huge filing cabinet that holds laptops, and you could take your library card up to it, swipe your card, and out comes the laptop. You could use it in the library, and then
Oh, I see.
keeps it charged. It's neat. It's a laptop vending machine.
But you only use it in the library. You don't take it home. You don't check it out.
I suppose there's potential to do that, but from what I've researched, it's mostly just in the
Isn't it?
library.
Yeah.
mhm.
It you know, kind of takes the place of desktops. It gives you a little more flexibility. You don't have to have all desktops everywhere and you take it up a lot of space.
Right.
But again, I think that's an excellent OLIS ask, because that's what they're talking about in the first round of money from them is technology.
Laurel, what was the price of that? Did you look into pricing with that?
The price of the laptop
Yeah.
kiosk was, so a 12 bay one that holds 12 would be $35,000. A 6 bay one is 25,000. Then it's like another 5,000 to get it integrated into your, you know, our ILS, what would check it out, what works with the library card, and then also the cost of the laptop. So, you know, say $1,000, $1,200 per laptop. So that's another $12,000, depending on how many you get. So I'd say overall about 50,000. I
Okay.
think it's a good OLIS ask.
Any other
So-
libraries in Rhode Island have those laptop kiosks?
No, there was one, not that I'm aware of, one in Cambridge that,
Cambridge, Mass, yeah.
and I actually know one of the director at Newport used to work there, and he said it was pretty popular. You can have it
Cambridge.
branded, so it has your library logo or, whatever you want to have on the side decorated and all that.
So would someone like to make a motion to, excuse me, support Laurel's recommendations at Friday's meeting relative to the stimulus money? Excuse me.
Also move.
I second.
Okay, so the motion is to support Laurel's recommendation to the committee that is discussing the stimulus money coming to the town of South Kingstown, and with the priorities from the library being number one, will be, and number two, kiosks, whether the laptop kiosks or both. Is that an accurate summation?
So you were
Anybody
breaking
have
up a
anything?
little. It was one, the bookmobile, two, the book kiosk. And that's what I'm gonna focus on.
And laptop.
I think the laptop can be for
Mhm.
OLS for the grant when it's available.
Okay.
So just
So
the
was there a
bookmobile and the
sec-
book kiosk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I second
wa-
that.
was there a second?
I second. it.
Second, Muriel?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck, Laurel.
Oh,
Yeah.
again, if you guys have any little sound bites or, I am not a wordsmith, so if you want to send me any kind of little sound bite sentences of what you think it would benefit the community, I am, please feel free.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Laurel, any correspondence?
Well, no, I sent the email, or I forwarded the email about the comprehensive plan that went out. And I will say that I received positive feedback from Elizabeth Candace and Nina Rosamundo, and one other person that her name escapes me, from the League of Women Voters. Very positive feedback about the program and
Right.
how well it went, and just how happy they were. So
Good. Laurel, is that up on the YouTube channel?
I am working on it. I was actually working on it right before the meeting. You all that went must have saw how kind of awkward that introduction wasn't, when she was kind of going on, and Elizabeth kind of cut her off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to, and plus I always forget to start recording it, and I didn't start recording to right when Elizabeth was cutting off Nina. So I'm trying to just get that little piece edited out, and it will just be Elizabeth introducing the Secretary of State. And so I should have it up by the end of the week, hopefully tomorrow. But
Okay.
yeah, it was just really kind of weird.
It
I
was.
wish I had just started it like a second later, and it would have been fine. It'll be up there, and I'll let you guys know as soon as it's up there. So thank you, Mario. Very good,
Yeah, that was great, Mario.
good work on that.
Well, I don't know. The only thing about that is if I didn't believe in elections and I listened to that, I probably would still not believe in them. Because I just have friends who they don't trust anybody, and I don't trust anything. But that's, let's move on. It's getting late.
True be that.
Okay, well, let's move on. President's report. I will defer to the agenda, but I just wanted again to thank you, Mario, for pulling that together. It was a really good program. Number 5, Director's report, Laurel.
So that was sent out to you all. I will share my screen. hopefully briefly. And here we go. Can everybody see that?
Not very well.
Not very well.
It's blurry.
It is.
Blurry. All right. Well, we'll
Well, everybody's got it, right? You
yeah,
really see
everybody's
it.
got it. And then just to highlight it, we did receive another grant from the Mary Lemoyne Potter grant through the Rhode Island Foundation. No, I'm sorry. Reverse that. The Mary Lemoyne Potter Committee recommended to the Rhode Island Foundation for a grant for $6,000 to purchase items to help supplement our material, or Kingston, this is specifically for Kingston, I should say, to help supplement the materials budget, some items for some technology support in the form of a new laptop and things to help make recording programs better, and also some children's toys. So that was in the amount of $6,000, and we're very grateful to this this fund for that.
I had a question about the digitization of microfilm.
Sure.
Seems to me 2 or 3 years ago, we bought a whole new microfilm machine. This
Which
would
will-
obsolete that, right?
No, it does not. One, we have a lot more microfilm than what's being digitized.
Okay, that's my question. How much is, what are we digitizing?
70 reels. And we have, that's just the times. We have the independent, which is, I don't know the number. Pam, feel free to jump in.
And the Herald.
And the
too.
Herald, so
And
that
the
we have a lot more. And then what happens, Mario, you have to consider that somebody can look at something online and there'll be a picture and they're not happy with the quality because it's still just, pixels. So they'll want to see the microfilm. So no, it does not make that obsolete.
Well, I would counter that by saying 10 years from now, I would be amazed if we had a microfilm machine and it wasn't
Well,
all
maybe 10
digitized.
years from now. Maybe.
Probably 5 years from now, but it's not going to be forever. Sooner or later,
Well, as
it'll all
long
be
as people
digitized.
keep giving us money to
Yeah.
do these projects, you're probably right. Let's hope that. Then.
Okay.
Just statistics.
Sure. So I sent those two. I don't know if you had any questions. Very strong. I mean, the big star there is E-zone, but it always has been. I think it always will be. And it follows suit. Peacedale is always going to be the larger circulator, and Hill will be the lowest one. Do you guys have any questions? I don't want to just read your numbers.
I was a little bit disappointed with the ancestry numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're paying for this every year, why?
That's a valid question. We could discuss it more. I mean, it is a useful tool. It's not
One
just
person a
for,
month looking at it? Anyway, that's just my feedback. on
that
it.
could be,
You have to be in library to utilize it or no?
pardon?
Do you have to be in library to utilize it or can you?
No,
use it?
they have, when the pandemic started, they offered remote access. So that is a lot
Yeah,
That
that's-
helps.
stronger.
That-
You'll see
that
that.
should- yeah.
And I think before we abandon anything, that we could make, another push to promote. We haven't done
No.
any promotion. We haven't had people in the library to promote it. I think before we just give up on anything, we have to you know,
Yeah, no, I kind of misread this, so I'm only looking at that top line. I didn't look at the remote line. That's a lot better. Okay.
Yeah.
I
I think it'd probably be a good idea to just put something in the newsletter every month for the next couple of months, just a
Mhm.
short notice that
Remind
it's
people.
available.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, anything else on electronic resources? If
Thank
not,
you for sharing these numbers, by the way.
Okay,
Yes,
is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, just what I was looking
Yeah.
for.
Okay,
I may have some questions,
you.
but since it's running late, I'll wait until the next shorter meeting.
okay,
services update, Laurel?
okay, so we have some great stuff to update you with. We hope to have Hale back to online regular hours, pre-COVID hours, May 24th. Looking forward to that. We also plan to have at Peaceville, where people can come and sit in and stay, not put any time limits on browsing. Of course, it would have to be with the three, I'm sure you're all aware that it's now 3 feet instead of 6 feet for distancing. So, and by May 28th or on May 28th, we'll be back at 100% capacity. Right now it's 80% capacity. May 28th, it'll be 100% capacity with the, still with the 3 feet distance and with these dreaded masks. But it's good. So we're getting back to what we were before. So that's a good thing. And we're having outdoor programs. So Miss Sharon just had a program. She said she had 5 families. So that is just terrific and makes me smile. And the next kind of big goal is, like I said, you know, getting things situated so we have people sit and read a newspaper or whatever they choose, and also getting our meeting room back. So right now we're still using that for a check-in quarantine area. We are no longer quarantining our items, which is also good news. Lindsay's got the thumbs up.
Oh, that's great. I didn't, so
Yeah.
no point, how about the interlibrary loan? Are you getting more of those? Or they, because it seemed to slow down
Well, the quarantine.
because of quarantine,
Yeah.
right?
And well, in the beginning, we cut delivery way back.
Right.
But we were back to full delivery, but the quarantine is what slowed
Okay.
things down.
Okay,
So, and I will say that there may be some libraries that are choosing still to quarantine for 24 hours. But for the most part, everybody's saying, yay, we're done with that.
Yeah, the CDC said that the surface transmission really wasn't a thing. Yeah, good.
Right.
Okay, good.
That's the services update.
Okay.
You guys have any
Moving.
questions? Something maybe to think about, once we get that meeting room all situated, we could meet in person again, or, you know, even sooner than that with the distancing. So let me know. We could maybe put it on the next agenda, take a vote if you wanna do that.
Sounds like a good idea. Okay, moving on to number 8, library action plan review. So Laurel, the last time we talked about this last month, I think we were talking about setting up a meeting to dig into it a little bit deeper, but there's been so much going on. Well, hard to do that. What should we consider going forward? Do we want to try to have a workshop session on this? Or?
I think we should. Maybe. Can we hold off maybe till the beginning of June for that?
Okay, to that.
I don't, you know,
Why
I
not?
don't think
Sure.
there's a huge urgency to this
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
necessarily. I mean, I'd like to get back to it. Either that or like the last week of this month. I don't know. When did we do the last work session? That seemed to be a pretty decent day for everybody, or that was,
We could do another Google poll.
yeah, I'll do another doodle.
Doodle poll, right?
Do a doodle.
Because I know, again, I was totally listening, but I feel like the timing of some of this stuff with, I'm kind of backtracking, but just when you're talking about timing of everything and then the Friday and the town council is going to meet and then you're going to pitch at a hearing. I mean, when is this all supposed to be said and done? Mid-June? Are they thinking it's going to be that quick?
I don't know. So we'll meet Friday. From that, I mean, you guys were hearing the same thing I was hearing. It
Yeah.
will be sussed out what is priority and what's going to be presented to town council.
Yeah.
The next town, I don't know. I guess that could be as soon as, because they just had a meeting last night. So the next meeting will be the 24th. So I guess it could be as soon as that. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it will be in a rough form and there'll be more discussion. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I wasn't
that-
quite clear on like the exact timing of things too. I feel like he was a little wish-wash on it too. So it just, all right, as long as we're on the same page.
But I agree. Sometimes these things, you know, they just take over and you
Yeah.
run out of time. But maybe now that you're saying that, maybe there really isn't a point in doing it too soon, because whatever might transpire from it could be worked into the plan itself. So not that it's going to, you know, dominate the plan, but if say we do get a bookmobile, that's going to be a whole part of that plan, you know, how we move forward with that. So
Right.
Laura, would it be too much to suggest that we put it off until September? I mean, we're not meeting in July, although, I don't know this. If, you know, I think your idea to kind of wait and see what happens, I think he said that the state's getting some money in June, perhaps 4.5 million. So I don't know how long after that anything would come our way.
I would love, believe me, my instant answer to that would be yes. My only concern would be that the plan is done in 2021. So, no.
Okay,
But I don't know if you're aware, because some of you weren't with us, that this plan never really went through this kind of process before. Like when I came aboard and brought it to the trustees, they were like, oh, you know, like, I think it was just getting recycled and recycled and recycled. It was never sat down and talked about like how we're gonna deal with it. So let's my train of thought a little, but let me take a look at it. Maybe but I think we need to, maybe June, I think would be good. Even if we just look at it and suss out, I could take out what's been done, because there's some things that have already been completed, and get it so it can be approved and moved on maybe another year, you know, like revisit it 2022, that kind of thing. But thank you for that suggestion.
Well, talking about meetings, what's the board's appetite and Laurel's appetite for a workshop session next week, just to get an update on Laurel's presentation on Friday and what we as a board might need to or want to do to follow up on it and support it.
I'm fine with that.
And Laurel, when are your suggestions due to OLIS? Is that a different date?
That's a
probably?
different, I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
But they
Okay.
come fast and furious, like with that digitization grant, it was like such a quick turnaround because they have so many different, not so many different, but like a big old form with so many different criteria that you're gonna say, this is how we're gonna meet it, and this is how we're gonna evaluate it, and this is how we're gonna do it, and this is, you know, like it's a big ordeal, and they want it done in a very short amount of time, and they want it done a very specific way. Like that, the last one I did, there were a few sendbacks, like, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. So, so I will let you know when I know, but they
Okay.
don't have a date. They said end of, or sometime in May, so I could only assume in the next couple of weeks, that they would send out a list of what is actually eligible besides that high level, you know, digital access enhancement kind of thing. So, and I will share that with you, the high level criteria, so just to give you an idea.
I mean, all this electronic equipment, I mean, I'm thinking of what Rob was saying, is obviously not made in Rhode Island. In fact, it's probably made in Asia somewhere. So I guess you have to really push on the, how many people though, you know, it's going to benefit,
Right.
whether they're patrons or whether they come and use the Wi-Fi in the parking lot or, you know, whatever. And just like other parts of South County, like the Parks and Rec Department, I mean, I feel we also affect the tourism. You know, you get more. So to me, that's an important thing because that's a real moneymaker in this state. I don't know. I just think a lot of what we're talking about buying is going to be totally not made in Rhode Island.
I agree. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, again, like what the manager said is applying to the town. But what Olis is saying is, like, here are their three things: digital access, expand availability and access to up-to-date computers, technology, the internet, especially in underserved communities, increase availability of and access to digital content statewide, including for individuals with visual impairments. The next one's learning, provide resources to support remote learners, increase opportunities for individuals to acquire digital workforce, career skills, strengthen reading, learning programs for children and teens to address pandemic-related learning loss. And then the last one, strengthening library services, providing training to librarians to support the delivery of services and programs identified above, blah, 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 blah. Delivery of ebooks, access to services for non-English speakers, marginalized communities, and limited availability to provide remote virtual services to those unable to visit the library. So that's their high level. And
Right. They're totally talking the patrons, their audience, you know, the people who live in our towns. Yeah. Which is, they should.
So back to my question, should we have a workshop session? Is there an appetite for that next week, or what is the board? What's the sense of the board?
Sure. Is it, are you thinking this time next week, or are you thinking like doodle pool?
Well, I'm just thinking about the last one. What happens is that I need 2 whole days to post these and get them on.
Oh, right.
So
Right.
like we can't do it a doodle pool. By the time I get the results, it's too late for me to
Right.
post it. So I'm gonna say if you'd like to do it, Thursday would be ideal. Thursday night, and I'm fine with
Thursday
too. I'm not sure.
That's May 20th.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I know that I'm not available that day. So, but I'm just one person.
Is there anyone else that's not available?
I'm pretty sure I can do that. I will probably not be at home. I might be remote somewhere, but yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we try to schedule a workshop session next week just to get a quick update from Laurel, so we can keep the momentum going next Thursday night.
Okay.
This would be about
Same time,
the
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, yeah.
About the library action plan?
No, this would be about Laurel's presentation to the town manager and what the reaction was and what we need to do as a board or should do or can do to further that.
Yeah, basically where we're gonna end up on the list prior to the town council.
Right.
Is that meeting Friday open to the public, Laurel? It's not, because you're department heads. It's, yeah.
Which is why I wanted to get the manager here, or, to talk with you guys, because
Right.
again, I can sit in meetings and, I have my thoughts and everything, but I think it's good to bring as many people to the table. That's what your jobs as trustees are, is to give input and to know what's going on. And I think it was warranted that and I'm glad he came and talked with us. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So are we,
Yes.
I think that was super helpful, Laurel. Thank you. Yeah.
are we
Absolutely.
agreed to meet on May 20th? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
6 p.m. Right.
By Zoom.
Yep. And Laura will post it.
Okay.
And are we meeting this Friday? And if so, for what?
No.
No, not this Friday.
Good, okay.
No.
I mean, no offense, but we've been pretty busy.
I have,
Right.
that's a meeting with town staff.
Okay. That brings us to our the next to last item, public comment. Elizabeth, you've been sitting there so patiently.
Patiently, but it's wonderful to listen to all of you. I want to first thank Mario and the library for the wonderful voter program. I thought, it started a little bit difficult to get going, but once it got going, it was just right on.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth, to interrupt, but I just had a thought. Tim, shouldn't we, as a library board, send a thank you letter to Secretary Gorbea?
That's an excellent idea.
Oh, I think you should. Absolutely.
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 She was very good.
Do you want me to write a thank you to who does that? I'm happy to write it if you want me to.
If you want to volunteer, that sounds
I'm
good to
really
me.
good at thank you notes.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
That's fine.
You want to do
Well,
it, all right?
That would be great.
If that's the case, you might want to also send a note to Elizabeth and to Nina.
Yeah.
The voter
Right.
group.
They
Can someone send
participate.
me names and addresses?
I can.
Okay, that would be super helpful.
I was
Right.
very
And
proud
maybe,
to be a Rhode Islander as I listened to Nellie. So that was good.
Mhm.
It's also exciting to get into the libraries and actually be inside there, looking at the books on the shelf, and we're getting there.
Right. Right. Any other comment, Elizabeth?
Nothing.
Okay, well, thank you for attending. So our next meeting will be the workshop that we talked about next week. And then our next regular scheduled meeting of the board will be June 8th at 6 p.m. And at this point, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Who was that? Hillary?
Hillary.
Hillary. Mario moved, Hillary seconded. All
Hillary, I
those in
might run
favor?
those thank you notes by you. If that's okay. Okay, good.
All those in favor of
Aye.
adjourning?
Aye.
Hey.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. It was a great
All right.
meeting.
Good night,
Thank
Good
you.
luck,
All right,
Laurel.
thank you. Good luck,
Thank you.
Laurel.
Yeah,
Right.
good luck.
Laurel?